Thank you, Roger. Well, I want to try to focus us again on this question of the relationship between morality and religion, because I think, as I said before, I really think this is the keystone myth in our society that keeps religion in such good standing among otherwise rational people. And so I really think this is the place where science should apply pressure, even more so than on questions of evolution and other obvious points of conflict. And it seems to me quite simple. I mean, this is not, the argument here is not complex. This is not rocket science. But paradoxically, it's both easier than rocket science and harder. It's easier because there's nothing complicated, really, that needs to be understood to run the argument that we don't get our morality out of religion. But it is harder than rocket science, apparently, because you can rather often find rocket scientists who don't see that we don't get our morality out of religion. So it's a problem of discourse. It's a problem that certain ideas remain in good standing and remain immune to criticism. Now, previously I spoke about the problems that beset any claim that any religious doctrine is true. These being that if religion really were a genuine branch of intellectual inquiry, it would function by the same rules. We would have people's certainties about their religious doctrines scaling with the evidence and the arguments that could be marshaled in support of those ideas. And we fundamentally find that that's not what's going on in religion. So briefly, my argument on that subject is that where we have reasons for what we believe, we have no need of faith. And where we don't have reasons, or we have bad ones, we have really lost our connection to the world and to one another. And here I'm not talking about faith in the sense that Paul Davies was talking about, the faith that the sun is going to rise tomorrow, or the faith that the laws of nature are in some sense rationally apprehendable. I mean, I'm talking about faith in the faith which allows people to accept gratuitous and very specific claims about the way the world is. The universe is 6,000 years old. A book is the perfect word of the creator of the universe, etc. But there's another way that religious people rise to the defense of God that has nothing to do with claiming that their religious doctrines are true. The claim, rather, is that the religious doctrines are useful. And the way they're imagined to be most useful is in providing a foundation for morality. The claim really is that religion makes people moral. And the fear on the part of millions of religious people in this country, not just people like Ted Haggard, but far more moderate people, is that without faith, we will lose something essential to us in the moral sphere. We will lose any purchase upon durable reasons to treat one another well, to find meaning in our lives, and we'll just plunge into some kind of state of nature where selfishness and the purest creaturely antagonisms will be the norm. There's a political version of this morality claim, which is that our society has been founded on Judeo-Christian principles, and the implication being that without these principles there'd be no way to write just laws. So this is ubiquitous, as you all know. The first thing to point out is that it should be rather obvious to everyone that we can find reasons to treat other human beings well, to help them in times of suffering, that don't require that we believe anything preposterous about the nature of the universe. We don't have to believe that Jesus was born of a virgin to help people. And I think perhaps Richard pointed this out, it is rather more noble to help people purely out of concern for their suffering than it is to help them because you think the creator of the universe wants you to do it, or will reward you for doing it, or will punish you for not doing it. So one problem with this linkage between religion and morality is that it actually gives people bad reasons to help other human beings when good reasons are available. And I think this has to be pointed out. Now, the idea that we get our morality out of religion begins to look immediately suspect when you actually read the books, and this has also been pointed out. Harry Croto pointed this out, I believe, and as did Richard. The truth is that not even fundamentalists like Haggard can take the God of the Bible at his word, given how sadistic he is in certain books of the Bible, like Leviticus and Deuteronomy and Exodus and 2 Samuel. I mean, God is just so, the vision of life that is preached in those books is so needlessly horrible. It is so hostile to creating a sustainable society where basic human happiness is even possible, that if you're going to draw your to-do list out of a book like Leviticus, you're going to make Mullah Omar of the Taliban look like Franklin Delano Roosevelt. I mean, this is not a vision of life that even our fundamentalists subscribe to. So even our fundamentalists have effectively edited the Bible by their neglect of many of its passages. And how do we do this? Well, we edit the Bible we cherry pick it based on our own ethical intuitions, and a larger conversation about ethics and human happiness that has developed in the last 2,000 years. I believe Pat Churchland also pointed this out. I mean, so when we go to the Bible and we see that a moral precept like the Golden Rule is a brilliant distillation of some of our ethical impulses, we do that on the basis of our own intuitions and this larger conversation, and then we reject the barbarism. And this is so our own ethical wisdom is the guarantor of the wisdom we find in the Bible. And this also, I think, has to be pointed out to religious people. And as Richard pointed out, there's no question that our morality precedes our humanity even. I mean, we have experiments where mice are shown to be more disturbed at the suffering of familiar mice than unfamiliar mice. We know that monkeys will withstand painful shocks or will withstand starvation to keep their cage mates from receiving painful shocks. We know that chimpanzees show obvious concern over fairness in the allocation of food rewards. I mean, these are the kinds of findings you would expect if our morality were somehow an emergent property of biology. But let me tell you briefly what I think is most wrong with this linkage between religion and morality.